So yesterday, you're going to see this recording later. We started a conversation about the senses of the human body entity. So not just the five senses that they talk about with the body: hearing, tasting, touching, feeling, seeing, but also I was going into, because there's five senses on the physical body plane, five senses on the mental plane, and then five senses on the spiritual plane. And to me, there's more than five, and that's what I was talking about in the conversation. But I can't have the conversation that I wanted to have without talking about free will. And in the Abrahamic parts of the world, like in the United States, where we are majority Christian, free will isn't taught correctly. I'll say it like that. So let's have this conversation. So first of all, this is not a Christian conversation. Everyone is welcome. I turn away no one. We're just having a conversation on the totality of what free will is. And I just wanted to let you know, like, disclaimer, once you understand true free will, this is going to broaden your horizons as a being, because there's so much that we don't even realize who we are and what we can do. And then you start to look at what we see as free will, and it changes the game, it changes the spectrum. So just to go off of what I was talking about, that I will release later, because I really wanted to go into free will first. The five mental senses, it sounds like, but once you get into it, you guys, again, you need this: imagination, expanded focus, deep empathy, emotional memory, and conscious visualization, which I'm a little iffy on that one myself, but we'll get there. And then after that, we'll talk about the spiritual senses, which are remote viewing, aka astral projection, really not remote viewing, astral projection, clairvoyancy, telepathy, psychometry, and pure intentions, which again, that's a little iffy to me too, because I really think that, why is telekinesis not in there? There's a few things that are not in there, but all this is another conversation, because it's all related. Now, free will. I'm Shanna Jade. This is Chocolate Cake 101. Free will, as taught in Abrahamic religions such as Christianity, Islam, and Catholicism, is taught, I'll say it from a Christian point of view, because that's what I was raised on, is taught as, from my understanding, it was, you have the will to not love God. You're free to not choose Jesus Christ. And in so doing so, you'll just burn in a fiery furnace for all eternity. Congratulations. Have a nice life. But that's not what free will is. And I want to emphasize, like I said, this is not a Christian religion. This is not a Christian conversation. So if you were looking for me to tell you to go get saved and blah, 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 that's not what I'm here to do. There's a lot of manipulation in a lot of these. That's what I'm going to say. There's a lot of manipulation because your will is being taken by you agreeing to it. But that's another thing. And that's what I was going to say. This conversation alone gets me in trouble. This conversation alone is why I have been called a Luciferian. I don't get called a witch. People call me a Luciferian. They go straight to hell. They go straight to the devil. Lucifer wasn't the devil, but anyway. And I think it is funny, and I think it is pretty dope, because Lucifer, as a light being, whether you are Christian or not, he holds a lot of importance and a lot of light. I don't even think I don't want to get into the story of Inky and Enlil and the Garden of Eden. We'll see if we get there. But I really just want to get into what free will is. So like I said, in the Christian sense, a lot of it is left out. And basically, God gave you the free will to choose to trust Him. And you, as a Christian, are bouncing that free will back. You're saying, oh no, Father, not my will, your will. And then you're supposed to live your life in accordance to what God thinks you want. There's a lot of errors in that, because you're not separate from God. And God's will for you is your will for you. So the fact that there's even a separation that's taught is very weird to me. The doubt and the separation comes in when we introduce that stuff in, but that's not any desire that you have for yourself is God's desire for you. This really goes into the basis of understanding that the law of one, Christ consciousness. If God is eternal, never started, never stopping, it's just him. He is manifesting himself in infinite ways as a flea, as a white person, as a white person with red hair. Yeah, let me see how awesome I can be as a midget. Politically correct words, I'm sorry, but just stick with me. Love to everyone. Stick with me here, though. Let's see how awesome I can be as a black woman. Let's see how awesome I can be as a cow. Let's see how awesome I can be as a goat. Let me see how awesome I can be. You know what I'm saying? Like God as the sheet, as the computer, as this camera. All of it is God. All of it. Nothing here is not him. So who the fuck is he fighting? He's not fighting anyone. And just to let you know a little bit more about that, the reason why we think that God is in a consistent war, that the Almighty God is at war, which is crazy, is because we have, what are they called? Warlocks, warcons ruling governing our systems. They always want war. We're at war now. So we're taught that we come from a war. We're taught consistent conflict. You are born into a system where you are taught that you were not good enough and that you are always in constant conflict. And that this is what duality is. You have separated yourself from yourself on purpose. So, and I'm saying this because I want you guys to understand. And I have a video about this, about being manipulated into a system where you're never enough and you're constantly having to prove yourself. You're also bred into a system that told you that you came from a place where everyone is fighting. But just the very definition of God, an unconditionally loving being, is not fighting. He's not throwing anybody into a fiery furnace. That ain't even him, bruh. That ain't Jeffy. That ain't Jehovah, but fine, whatever. So, what is free will? Free will is the understanding that no one sees life from your perspective, from your eyes, with your nose, with your taste. They're not hearing what you're hearing. You are the only giver and perceiver of your thoughts. You're the only one thinking them. You're the only one hearing them. That is the greatest definition of knowing that you are creating your reality and that you are the God of your reality. No one can hear your thoughts and perceive your thoughts at the same time but you. Okay? And so yes, we are going to talk about thought transmission when we talk about telekinesis. This is my Roman Empire, y'all. But just give me a second. We got to set the stage. I'm giving you the meat and potatoes of this baby. Okay, so in that being said, this is a belief, and you may not believe it or not, and you don't have to believe it. We're talking right now, and I've said this a million times. Take your emotions out of shit when you're talking to me, because I'm not talking about good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm just giving you scenarios so that you can think better. Because a lot of you guys think in boxes. Okay, back to the topic. So under the belief that there are infinite realities happening all at once, and you get to control what's happening in your reality, that is what free will is. Okay? You have control over everything that happens from your point of view. What happens to you, what happens to the people around you, that's what I said. And I talked about this when I talk about Ho'oponopono. Well, let's take it in steps. What happens with money? What happens to health? What happens to love? What happens to friendship? What happens to careers? What happens to the world in general? So everything that's happening with the weather, with the wars, everything, you have control over how it plays out specifically in your reality. Stick with me. I know, I hear you. Stick with me. I want to have this conversation because I can't talk about imagination, and I think it was focus was the big one I wanted to do. But I couldn't talk about that without talking about free will, because people don't understand your focus and your imagination are how your will plays out. Because we're taught that imagination ain't shit, and we're taught every day with YouTube, all these social media sites are training you to not be able to focus, so that your will is their will gets to be your will. This is a hijacking of will, of free will. Ooh, I like that. That might be the title. Okay. Now, I know you're like, that's bullshit. How am I going to control how someone treats me? It's your stinking thinking, man. And this is the game that I played, and they call this thought transmission, but I'm not even there yet. I'm still explaining free will to you. Now, like I said, because this is your reality, you get to choose how it plays out. You get to choose the players. This is your game, baby. You have the remote control. You get to pick your players. You get to choose. What is this, San Andreas? You get to choose how they act and what's going on. You get to choose the NPCs. You get to choose what lessons you're doing. You get to choose all that. You chose it before you got here, and then once you get here, you can choose to continue on that path, or your will is so free, you can change your will. That's another story, though. Now, and I can talk to you all day about it, but it is another story. I'm trying to stick to free will. Your will is so free that you can choose to give it back. You can choose to forfeit your will. And that is what I would keep trying to tell people. That is kind of what religion is, because it's teaching you not my will, but God's will. And there is no separation. Your will, you are God personified. If we were made in His image, then call us by our name. You were made in God's image. You are God. You're okay. Because someone said, I saw a video, and it was made so much sense. They said, you are God. And the person was saying, you're not to the aspect of you are the big guy in the sky. No, baby. The big guy in the sky is you. The big guy in the sky is running life, running this experience through your perspective. That's what this is. You are a part of Him. He gave you His consciousness. And then what you do through religion is say, no, God, I'm giving the will back to you. But God already washed His hands. He's chilling, playing this out. He already washed His hands of it. So when you give up your will, and this is the true selling your soul, by the way, which a lot of people don't have souls, so it doesn't matter anyway, but that's a whole other conversation. When you give it back to God, you're not giving it to God. You're giving it to whatever entity is introducing God to you. Whether that be your governing system, whether that be the culture, whether that be the sports organization you're part of. There's no devil on top of this being the puppet master. Maybe there once was, but this is such a meticulous system that it's now living off of itself. It's feeding itself. You're feeding it and it's feeding you. It's a circle of life. Okay, so you can break the chain and keep going. It really doesn't matter. You can make your new chain. It doesn't matter. So how this works is, so when I say you're giving your will away to other people, meaning all day, every day, we hear something that our family member says or that a relative says. We see something on TV. There's a song. Movies are good for it. We watch a movie. And through what's happening, that's how we set our beliefs. So the main thing that I give an example of is in the movie, the guy breaks up with the girl and she's got to go eat a gallon of ice cream and cry. And so through that's a program to teach us that when someone hurts our feelings, this is how you respond. Not necessarily eating ice cream and crying, but the being sad part. We have learned victim mentality. We have learned betrayal through watching what other people do. Because they could have just as easily taught you that when the guy breaks up with the girl in the movie, she's super duper happy. She feels like she's free and she goes and parties, or she gets a college degree, or she goes, she levels up. But not in a way of I'm sad and I'm avenging my revenge dress, but in a way of feeling whole. So we learn, it's learned characteristics. And we've learned betrayal. We've learned fear. Black people specifically are the best at this. They have learned anger and fear and betrayal through the white man's teaching of Black History Month every motherfucking year. That's why they teach that shit in school. They taught you that you are supposed to be less. This is how you're supposed to act, Black person. Did you know we used to do this to you, and this is how you should respond? We need you to be afraid. Now, you don't even have to do anything. Black people, quote unquote, because we don't like using that word, that's not a real word, will automatically act silly when they see police because it's a learned response. That is what taking away a free will is. Now I've got you acting a certain way because of, Brother Panic talks about it all the time, symbols, numbers, codes. So the greatest example I just gave, you see the police, you get scared. Whether you get nervous, whether you get mad, whether you go the other way. You are taught to be afraid of them or not want them around. And that's bullshit. Because you could just as easily understand that that is a human response and that you are living in a God image. So this really is a conversation about human mentality versus God mentality. And what I normally say is human thoughts versus creator thoughts, because humans play life with other people having the will. Creators create the reality and everyone lives off of them. They set the standard. So you can be in competition or you can be the standard. All right. So this is, by the way, this is an impromptu conversation. I don't have any notes. All right. So free will. Okay. Now, and this goes into the expanded focus, because you guys are saying, okay, well, if I can control what happens to me, if I can even control the past, I forgot to mention that time does not exist, meaning everything's happening now. So outside of this duality, this third density that we're in, the past and the present and the future are all, they're all the same. In that understanding, you can manipulate the past and you can manipulate the future because it's all happening at the same time. And how that will play out in this 3D is you'll have different memories, because the past only happened back then. There's nothing that can show you the past. I mean, maybe if you had sex with a girl and you had a baby, now the baby's here. But this is where creative mentality comes in, because this is the how that you're not supposed to be messing with. Let God do that. It's a birthmark, by the way. Everyone thinks other things. It's just a birthmark. Yeah, baby, it's a birthmark. Thank you. Anyways, that means I'm somebody. That's a mark in the ethers. Anyways, this fireworks caught me off guard. All right, so when you are, I'm saying, damn it, fireworks. Oh, yes. I was saying you're not worried about the how. You just focus on the outcome of what you want. But before I was saying that, I was saying a lot of people in these teachings, you can also manipulate the past. And you would do that by, and we're going to talk about that later. That's not a conversation for now. You can look at that. You can look that up on the internet, because lots of people are talking about being able to change the past and how that would manifest. Oh, that's what I was saying. The Mandela effect. So when you have all those people who are talking about the Mandela effect, how they remember things differently, it's because certain entities were able to change the past. But when you change the past, you're making a new timeline. And in that sense, some people are still going to remember. In this case, hundreds of thousands of people will still remember the old timeline. So if you look up the Mandela effect, I talk about it all the time. I'm not going to talk about it on this episode. Google it, YouTube it. But it's basically where people remember things differently. Populations remember the same event different ways. And that goes into messing with the past. Then they talk about the CERN machine or the collider that's in Switzerland. And there's just so much that's going on. Sweden, Switzerland, there's just so much going on. But that's a whole nother topic. Going back to free will. How would you manipulate your will? So first of all, I do understand that this is a tough conversation to have for a lot of people who are hearing this for the first time and feeling like it is blasphemy or going against God. I don't know why you guys think that you can go against God. God is you. You are God. And God loves you unconditionally. Means no matter what, I love you. No matter what, no matter what, no matter what. There are no conditions on my love for you. No matter what. And then that goes into what you guys think love is. All these things go into the definition. And that's what I forgot to say, because I was having this conversation with somebody on the cruise ship. We did the Queensman fashion show with one of the security. He's this dreaded, I'm not calling him dreads anymore. He was this locked up anime samurai dude, and he was just his look was so dope. But before I could even have a conversation with him, I had to know how he felt about ball. And that's when we got into the conversation of definitions of gods and different time periods, where in this part of the world you're a villain, but in this part of the world you're a victim, in this part of the world you're a hero. And I've talked about that with so many things. You're a villain. You are a villain in someone's eyes. And I really want to have the conversation about ball, because y'all know I ride for him. That is and don't knock it. If you haven't met him like I have, don't leave your opinion with the church, because you don't even know what you're talking about. But anyways, to keep it going, so a lot of this goes into definitions and labels that humans, which is another label, put on other groups of beings. That's a whole other conversation. But if you are able to, just on a small surface level, have your will, most people will manifest, or they will create for themselves parking spaces that are close to the store, free cups of coffee, free meals. On a bigger level, they will change how they felt about their childhood, or change the relationship they had with somebody, whether it be a parent or a romantic relationship or their job. A lot of times they'll manifest money, or, and in small quantities or in large quantities. This all happens. But we're not just talking about the regular people, human stuff. I'm talking about even on a bigger, y'all gotta think bigger than that, baby. Because I'm talking about changing worlds, creating worlds, changing worlds. And the motherfuckers that took over, however long ago they took over, they were thinking on a bigger scale. Okay? You can do everything. Jesus Christ said, all these things you can do and more. What are all these things? Controlling the weather like he did. Bringing people back from the dead like he did. That's a whole conversation that people talk about online too, by the way. That's the reason why I say that Jesus was a Necronomicon, because that specifically is bringing people back from the dead, turning water into wine, walking on water, being able to manipulate the earth elements: air, earth, fire, water, heart, ether, plasma, melanin, heart. The understanding of free will is understanding that I don't know where I am in this conversation. The understanding of free will is understanding that is also an understanding that everything that plays out is a reflection of how you see things. So this is why I'm so big on self-concept and mindset, because, and I had this conversation, I was talking about Black girls. You can live in, like I said, you can live in your trauma, or you can live in your truth. And what they tend to do with melanated people in this Western society is continue to show the trauma. That's where Black History Month comes in. You think they're honoring you, they're not. It's just a continued program, because new little nigglets have come into this world, so they have to train them too. And instead of doing it through violence, it's easiest to do it through what was the other? Memory was one of the senses. It's easiest just to do it through retraining you of memory, whether the shit happened or not. It's easier just to tell you a story and have you afraid. Emotional memory. You see how this is? You see how I gotta give you the meat and potatoes, because I can't talk to you about. So when I talk to you guys about focus, imagination, emotional memory, you're gonna go back to free will, and you're gonna be like, oh, this is how the propaganda was working. And I talk about propaganda all the time. Okay, so, I'm losing my. I'm not. What was I talking about? Okay, hopefully I'll remember what I was saying. But when it comes to free will, you have other entities putting things in that's what I was talking about, self-concept, putting things in your mind and in your memory, to where you are going to set up your self-concept as, and again, I'll give examples of a black person. I can't, the shit that black people say all the time. I have to work harder. I have to fight more and work harder just to be in the same race. And it's true because you say it's true. But you can just as easily say, no, everything's working out for me. My life is on easy mode. Everything's always easy for me. And everyone loves me and I get what I want. I have privilege. They call it white privilege. I have white privilege. Or I have black privilege. Or I have melanin privilege. I have privilege. You get to make up the story. You guys make up stories that you can't get the girl because you're not tall enough or you don't have enough money. These are called third parties. Anything that is in the way of you and what you want is called a third party. The most common third party is in a love relationship. You think that there's someone in between you and your lover. But a third party can be work. It could be, it's any belief that would stop, that you think is stopping you from getting what you want. And this is where your self-concept has to come in, because your self-concept has to be, what God said, unconditional love. That is what unconditional love is. No matter what, I get to have this. Money's not coming in between me and this vacation. Money's going to come to serve me and pay for this vacation. All of this is about your mindset and how you think. If you can change your mindset to cater to you, you're going to see, first of all, if you just change your mindset, you will immediately see how things in your life play out differently. But then after you go back and work on, and you don't have to do this, but it's a good idea, work on where the traumas lie in your life. Say maybe you didn't have a lot of money growing up, so now you have lack mentality when it comes to money. You're always looking at how much you have left rather than being thankful for what you have and knowing that more. What did she say? Go off with your friends and go off and come back with your friends, because money's always going to come back to you. But you have to see it that way, because that's what free will is. Free will is you get whatever you think you're getting. Your will be done. If you think you're a sucker, you're going to be a sucker. If you think you're nothing, you're going to be nothing. If you think you're everything, the universe has to come back and show you you're everything. If you think that you are, look at Trump. This is what I talk about. You got to have Trump-like faith. I know we don't like Trump. I don't like or dislike him. I really don't care, because he doesn't have that power in my reality. A lot of you guys have given your will to him. Even if you don't like what he does, being angry with him is still giving him your will, because you're seeing yourself as a victim, which means he's the victor, which means he's over you. But I talk a lot about Trump-like faith. Trump believes that he can do whatever he wants. And even though everyone keeps telling him he can't, he does, and y'all don't do nothing. So apparently he can do whatever he wants. So having that narcissistic, when we don't like the narcissist, but that's not the point. The point is the narcissist gets what he wants because he expects that he's going to. And now you can take that power and do nasty things with it, or you can take that power and you can do great things with it, or you can take that power and you can do neutral things with it. You can only work on your life. You can choose to work on the life of everyone else. I talk about Ho'oponopono all the time. Every time you hear something, see something, every time something is in your experience, whether it's happening to you or someone's telling you a story, because it's happening, because you are hearing about it, learning about it, seeing it. If you see a car accident, this is all a part of your reality. And it's your job to either ignore it and let it go away, to give it peace and let it go away, which could be like Ho'oponopono, I got 10% left, or to fixate on it and be upset about it and want to fight for them. And then all you're doing is bringing it to your reality more for it to happen to you. You can cleanse it and bring it peace without adapting the situation. This is all free will. We might have to have more I got 10%. My battery's about to die. We're going to have some more conversations on free will, because this is a big conversation. Like I said, when we talk about focus and consistency and discipline and emotional memory and visualization and expanded focus and deep, all this shit, we talk about these, which I've already started having the conversation. This all plays into free will and what you think it is and what you think you can do with it. This is the beginning of the conversation. If you want more information about it, Google it. Go on YouTube. I am not the only person by far talking about this. This is a conversation for creators who understand that they are God in manifestation. I love you. I'm Michelle Jade. This is Chocolate Cake 101. Oh, please, listen. Y'all can talk to me, okay? Feel free to tell me, I don't like what you said. Feel free to tell me this was dope. Feel free to talk to me. What do you think about this? Well, hey guys, what do you think about this? What's the guy's name? Derek Branch. Anyway, sorry. I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm Sheila Jane. This is Chocolate Cake 101. Good talk. Peace. Peace. Peace.